Okay, we've had some talk and debate about paddle shifting, automatic shifting, and coming into the Gen 3 car and supercars, and I've come out and said, hey, I think it's dumb. That's something the drivers should control. It's part of their technique of driving the car. And a few people asked me, can you expand on that? And I thought, yeah, I can expand on that, and the best way to do it is probably do it in a car. So here I'm in a car at Norwell, manual Toyota 86. Still got a clutch, still got a gearbox, still got a steering wheel, still got a brake pedal. So when would the driver use the gearbox to help influence the car's handling, the transmission? So most of the time it's going to be on corner entry and mid-corner. If you think of a situation where we've probably all seen this one, you've probably seen this mainly at Adelaide at the hairpin, Symonds Plains at the hairpin. You'll see a driver go for a pass. They'll go up the inside of someone. They're a bit compromised on their corner entry. They're not quite going to make the turn. They're hard on the brakes. They're going to need some rotation to help the car turn. They'll feed the thing a gear, feed it a bit early. It'll lock the rear end up and help rotate the car. Pretty simple stuff. It's basically like a handbrake turn. Instead of you using the handbrake to lock the rear up, you're using the engine compression and the release of the clutch to get a bit of rotation. The really good guys could even use this mid-corner. You see some of the top guys use this technique mid-corner. They'll brake that late into a corner. They're not passing anyone, they're just on their normal racing line. They brake that late into the corner. You know, they're on fire, the car's right on the limit. They've just got a little bit of understeer. They'll start going down the gears. They'll leave that gear change to when they really need it. They might go down the gear change a bit late or a bit early, depending when they want that little bit of rotation. Feed it the gear and use the release of the clutch, the pop of the clutch, to help get a little bit of rotation off the rear axle and get round the corner. It's a great thing to watch, you know, top drivers use. And if we get rid of the manual shifting and the clutch, you're going to take this away. So what I'm going to do now is just demonstrate it for everyone so they can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to over demonstrate it first so everyone knows what I'm talking about. The first thing I'm going to do is show you the effect of locking the rear axle, and I'm just going to use the handbrake first, because everyone knows, or most of us have done a handbrake turn, and what it's doing is just locking the rear axle. You put a little bit of steering lock on and it'll help rotate the car. So I'm just coming to this corner bend, not that fast here, 80 k's, a little bit of handbrake, the car comes around and rotates, okay, quite aggressively. The next step of that, just to show you what happens when you lock the rear axle. Supercars don't have a handbrake, but they do got a clutch and a gearbox and an engine. So compression locking, I'll show you that. Here, what are we doing, 80 kilometers an hour. I'll just roll up to this next bend, 4th gear. Here I come into the bend, I'm just going to go back to 2nd, release the clutch as I turn in. There it is, the back of the car comes round. So that's quite aggressive, and you can see the effect of it. But our top drivers that drive in Australia are a unique breed. They've grown up driving these cars. They've got a lock rear end. The effect of the lock rear end of the spool of the car makes this a very ideal candidate for this type of driving. You don't have a differential, both wheels turn at the same time. You come into the braking area, you're a bit hot, you don't quite think you're going to make the corner. Just excite the rear end up a bit and get it around the corner. It's simple. Another situation where you see this used a lot is in passing. The cars are hard to pass, but you make a dive bomb up the inside of someone and you don't think you're going to quite make the corner. You'll see this happen a lot. The hairpin at Symonds Plains, the hairpin at Adelaide, anywhere where you've got a car with an opportunity to get up the inside that doesn't think it's quite going to make the corner, you'll see them feed it a gear. They'll feed the car a gear and get a little bit of rotation off the rear axle. So I'll run a few laps and just show you how I'd use that. This next corner is a pretty good corner for it. I'm in 3rd gear here. I'm going to come in a bit hot. Turn. A little bit of rotation. rotation off the rear of the car to help you get around the corner. I brought that in on corner entry. If I wanted to bring that in later in the phase of the corner, I just control the release of the clutch to a bit later around the corner. You can't see the guys doing it on the TV or looking at home, but they are doing it. This corner here, I'm going to come in late, I'm going to brake, go down the gear, I've got understeer here, just pop the clutch there and get some rotation. Again, I'm over exaggerating it, but you can see the effect of it. So by taking this away and thinking about cost saving on over revving engines or trying to make the car simpler, they've taken away one of the driver's tools they use to help drive the car. And the stupidest thing about it is it's something I use to help passing. So they're talking about push to pass and we need to pass more. They've just taken one of the great things away about our cars. So here I'm going to run a lap. I'm going to run a hot lap and describe to you how I'll use this. Here we go. Let's do a lap of Norwell. Let's get on the gas here. I'm going to over enter the corner on speed, like I'm in here pretty hot. Come down the gear. Look at that rotation I get. This helps me get around the corner. I'm going to blow it in here a little bit hot. Only way I'm going to make this is to bring the gearbox into play. Great tool to use. The good guys use it. They're not going to tell you about it because it's a trade secret, but it's out of the bag now. And we should be talking about this stuff because it's what makes our cars unique. It makes our drivers the best in the world. We're stupid if we're going to dull them down and make them boring to watch. Okay, so I switched to the paddle shift car. I'm just going to run a couple of laps in this car and just show you the differences between the manual shifting and the paddle shifting. I think everyone knows that. The simple stuff we know. Click this right one, I'll go up through the gears. Click this left one, I'll go down the gears. But there's a couple of things you can't control in automated shifting. The parameters of how and when we shift are governed by the computer. So if I arrive at the corner pretty fast, I'm a little bit hot, and I think I wouldn't mind a gear here just to get myself a little bit of rotation. I'll pull the gear early. I'll demonstrate in a minute. The computer will lock me out from pulling the shift. So if I want to shift down too early and bring the engine into play, bring the driveline into play to help me drive the car, it's not going to allow me to do it. That's going to be preset by the engineers. Could Supercars program the computers in the cars to give you a bit more aggression? Yeah, they could. Be interesting to see how well that turns out. But the big thing I like about the manual shifting is the driver still has the release of the clutch. So if I want to feed it down a gear early and I want the car to rotate, if I want a lot of rotation, I can come off the clutch quickly. If I want a little bit of rotation, I can just bleed off the clutch gradually, and I can control where I want that to come in that corner entry phase. With this paddle shifted car, I really can't do anything. I can go up and down the gears. So I enter really quick. Want to change down here, it locks me out. Won't let me change down. And even if I do wait to get around the corner a bit and get the gear I want, it doesn't engage aggressively enough to give me any rotation. So let's have a look. Come in pretty hot. Won't change down, go again, won't change down. There it is, there's the down change, but it's no rotation from the rear of the car. Let's have a look at this big long loaded big brake down here. I'm going to lob it in a bit harder than I want, like I did in the other car. Try and bring the transmission into play to help me around the corner. There's the late brake. It just doesn't give me anything. All I've got is a brake, a steering wheel, and a throttle. I want a brake, a steering wheel, and a throttle, and I want control over the gearbox. It's such a unique thing that we have in Australia that we still have this. Our drivers understand it. They drive the cars brilliantly. We've got to leave them the tools to be able to do what they want and be flamboyant in the race car. That's what makes it exciting to watch. That's what separates the really good drivers from the good drivers. Let us know what you think. Hope that explained it. And yeah, get on board. Let Supercars know what you think.